listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and man, we have another show lineup for y'all today. Man, we have a very special guest. His resume, I've read it, and wow, it's about 3 hours for me, like a movie, to go through all his details. But we have our guest today, Derek Rydall. He is a transformational leader, best-selling author, spiritual teacher, and founder of a global community over 200,000 leaders. And that's not enough. Let's just cut right to the chase, because I know time is of the essence. We got Derek right here, right now. First and foremost, I only went to about 5% of your actual bio, but how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. You know, better than yesterday, not as good as tomorrow. I like to say success is, my definition of success is just 2 words: above ground. It's another day to live and celebrate and try to get it a little better.
If your head's above water, you're doing pretty good, man.
That's right.
I definitely concur on that. You have a website you can go to do better justice on everything you've done in your career, DerekRydall.com. But my first question is...
Pronounced like it's Rydall, R-Y-D-A-L-L, just for people that might want to look that up. But it does pronounce, it's pronounced as if it's Rydall, but it's R-Y-D-A-L-L.
Oh, yes. Appreciate you pointing that out. And for our audience, just to get right into it, you have a lot of adversity, just like most people who are successful. Things happen, life throws curveballs. Kind of share with us what were some moments that were maybe difficult, but it made you better as a human being.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of difficulty. I'm going to be doing a special talk on the story of Job in the Bible because I've lived it. So I understand the challenges. You know, like so many people, when I first started, I had been trying to improve myself for a decade, many years ago, and all my efforts to fix, change, heal, and improve myself, it was like trying to dig my way out of a hole. I just dug myself a deeper hole, and I became so frustrated with trying to fix, change, heal, and improve. I became addicted to drugs and alcohol, and I nearly died of an overdose. And coming out of that, I decided I needed to figure out how to work smarter, work better, do something different. And I redoubled my efforts, only to end up, I was an actor at the time, and I was doing a movie in Jamaica, and everything fell apart again. And I decided to pray to get lost from it all, and I went diving in a coral reef, where I then subsequently had a near-death experience. And in that experience, I saw a flash of light that showed me that the guy I'd been trying to fix, change, heal, and improve for so long was a fiction, was an amalgamation of parental fantasies and peer pressure and societal conditioning, and nothing I could ever do would make him enough. But at the same time, there was another self in the midst of that flash, and that guy had never been hurt or damaged, and so he didn't need to be fixed. And that guy was already whole and complete and enough innately, so he couldn't be improved upon. And it was just a flicker and a flash, and then I survived that ordeal, and I pulled out of society. I became a monk. That didn't go well, so I decided to cloister myself in my apartment and go on this inner journey for several years, where I then discovered what I came to coin the law of emergence, which is just like in every seed, there is a pattern. And when the conditions are congruent for that pattern, what's in that seed emerges, it flowers, it flourishes. And I saw that that's the same for everything in creation, including us. And I began to go, well, let me stop trying to fix myself. Let me just focus on knowing myself. Let me just know who and what I really am, what I'm made of and made for. And then let me be true to myself. Let me honor that pattern in me. And as I began to figure that out through trial and error, my life, I went from broken, suicidal, literally, to flourishing like never before, to, launching my life's work, living my mission, falling in love, just massive emergence of potential that most of my previous actions had been blocking. and causing resistance to. So that's kind of like my origin story. But I will add one other thing, and I'll turn it back to you in terms of trials and tribulations and challenges. What's great about this principle of emergence is that we really all do have a reason and a right and a purpose to be here. And it's both as simple and as difficult as figuring out who am I really and why am I here, and then having a lot of courage to be true to myself. That's all of where we all need to focus. And that allows for a lot of miraculous things and breakthroughs and manifestations and different things to happen. But the other thing is to understand we will go through a lot of challenges, even still. And we're going through them right now in the world. And it's probably going to get a little bit rougher before it gets better with AI and everything and potential job destruction and just everything going on. But when you know this about yourself, as you're moving through these crises, they don't break you, they break you open, right? Like a seed breaks open. So after that experience for me, my life grew and grew and grew. And then I hit another stage where I went through a divorce, very painful, lost everything, or so it seemed, and then rebuilt myself even bigger as a result of that breaking me open, because I knew what I was really made of and made for. And then I went through one of the tragedies of tragedies, which is losing my child, one of my children, which again is unthinkable, unimaginable, even to me, and I've been through it. And again, annihilating and shattering so much of what I thought I was and what I thought mattered, only to allow me to emerge even more inspired, more loving, more compassionate, and more abundant. And then having my fortune stolen from me. And then again, shattered. And then emerging more wealthy and abundant. That's the power within us, the indomitable spirit and potential within us. It's always bigger than the problems we face. But we need to turn our attention to the potential more than to the problems. That's the starting point.
Once again,
that was a lot. That was a lot, I know.
No, it's fine. Once again, if you're just now tuning in, listen to Refocused Radio, watching us online, talking to our guest today, Derek Rydall. Like he said, you can go to his website, DerekRydall.com. It's RYDALL.com. So I'm going to spell that for you. Get your notes or pause. And here we go. It's DerekRydall.com. And since we are pressed for time, I want to make sure that we mention your newest book that you have, A Whole New Human. And you talk about AI, and that was like a perfect segue, like you were reading my mind or something. But what are one or two most important inner technologies that we need to activate right now? And what's some good things that people can expect when they read this book?
Yeah, well, unless you've been living in a cabin in the woods or under a rock, AI is here and it's here to stay and it's just getting started and it's already disrupting a lot of jobs. It's already causing a lot of cognitive issues and mental issues. We're already in a meaning crisis and a loneliness crisis and polarized, and AI and its super intelligent algorithms are going to polarize us more. And it's the stated mission of the hyperscalers is to replace all human labor. So there's going to be one of the biggest global identity crises we've ever faced as humanity. So that's the bad news or the challenge or the crisis that we're facing. A crisis of opportunity, of employment, of identity, and of meaning. The good news is most of that stuff we've been doing, we shouldn't be doing anyway. Who we're made and what we're made for as human beings is so much greater. So what this book first does is help you understand and orient yourself. It's called A Whole New Human, 10 Ways We Must Evolve to Survive and Thrive in the AI Age. This is an evolutionary inflection point. Just like certain plants need a forest fire to crack open the seeds of their progeny and grow the future of that forest, this fire that we're experiencing, a lot of fires all over the world, is to crack us open to our deeper seeds of destiny as human beings. A whole new renaissance is possible here. A renaissance of values, of abundance, of prosperity, of connection, of what really matters what's really worth living for, there's a whole new renaissance inside all of us trying to break through. And this crisis is going to give us that opportunity. But it won't happen just accidentally or naturally. It will happen based on our intentional collaboration with the journey, with ourselves. And so the book takes you through the 10 core evolutions. The first being AI is going to think for you. You got to think for yourself, which is another way of saying know thyself, which is the original OG self-help guru, the Oracle of Delphi, who was a woman, and it wasn't an affirmation, it was a warning. She said, you better know yourself or else, basically. And so in a world where AI is going to know you better than you, and an AI surveillance state, knowing all your secrets, knowing yourself, thinking for yourself, being rooted in that seed pattern I talked about, what I call the life code within you, that's going to be your superpower. That's going to be the real super intelligence, and you will become the killer app the world is really waiting for. That's how you future-proof yourself, your life, your work, your wealth, and your well-being. You got to know what you stand for. You got to know who you are, and you got to be who you are, because everybody else is taken, and AI is going to do everything a human can do better, faster, cheaper, but it won't be able to do you uniquely. Your lived experience, the wisdom of your wounds, the legendary purpose hidden in your pain. That's what makes you human. That's what will make you a great teacher, leader, artist, creator, whatever it is that you want to be, that will stand out and be a signal in the noise right now. So this book will prepare you for that. It will orient you to what's really going on. You'll be the smartest person in any room, and it will help you determine and discover what you're really made of and made for, what you're really here for, and how to live it successfully.
You have a lot of experience working with Fortune 500 executives, Oscar and Emmy winners, and everyday people of wide spectrum. What is a common thread that you see in those people's stories where they found a place where they successfully reinvented themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. And whether they're billionaires or tech moguls or politicians or parents or just, authors, teachers, coaches, artists, creators, there is a common thread. And that is, at some point, if they ultimately succeeded and succeeded to a degree, I say success isn't just making the money. It's not just the name, fame, or fortune. It's doing it to at least some degree on your own terms. It's doing it in a way that it brings life and joy and energy. You feel like it is for this that I am alive. It's that kind of a feeling. It's a deep sense of meaning and real fulfillment. Whereas you could have all the name, fame, and fortune and want to throw yourself out of a window. So that's not, and I'm not saying it's not that. I want everybody to be abundant, but that without this, for what does it profit a man if he gains the world but loses his soul? So you got to have your soul intact. You got to have yourself intact, whatever metaphor works for you. And so what I found with these individuals is somewhere along the line, often through pain, through rejection, lots of rejection or challenging conditions culturally or wherever they were living, they were forced, or they had the grace or the good luck or the good instinct to dig deeper in themselves, to discover, okay, these people don't know what my music is all about. These people don't understand me, or these people are judging me or rejecting me. The heck with them. I'm going to figure out who I am, and so almost like a reaction or a despite, like Michael Jordan became a great player because he was so angry, Sometimes you got to get angry. You got to go, I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. You got to stand up in the cubicle and go, I'm done with this, you know what? And take a stand for yourself. And so these people at some point, sometimes subtly, sometimes they quit, sometimes they were loud and they made a lot of noise on the way out, to take a stand for themselves and to have the courage sometimes to walk alone for a while and to walk through the valley of the shadow, and to maybe not be so successful, and to people to look at you, what are you doing, man? You left a good career, or you should have gone to college or whatever, but they had the courage to go, there's something in me. I got to get it out. And that's whether they were leaders, entrepreneurs, creators, artists, that same path. And when they get stuck or got stuck later on as a successful person, it's because what happened eventually is they honored the roots, and it brought about rich fruits, deep roots, rich fruits. But then they got too focused on the fruits again, and the money and the organizing and controlling it all, and they lost themselves yet again. And so I came in to help them find themselves again and make the sometimes difficult, courageous decisions to get back on track, back in integrity with who they are. But again, in all of the cases, those that had the courage to get to know themselves, what do I really want? What really matters? Not what mom or dad or governments or friends or the culture says I should be or should do or can't do, but what's true. And then the courage to be true to themselves. I've often, in the face of obstacles, challenges, from friends, family, or external conditions. That's like the most fundamental thing that I found led them eventually to be successful. And again, to bring it all the way back, because what they became was something original. What they became was something singular. What they became was something real and raw and authentic. And, Oprah didn't put on a talk show. Oprah had church, right? Steve Jobs didn't sell phones. People got in line all day and night to answer their call. Think different. Harley Davidson didn't sell motorcycles. It sold the value system of dropping out of the system, saying F you to the man, and being your own individual on the open road, so to speak. So these are value systems that were inside individuals that they had the courage to be, and then out of that came a message or a product or a project or a business or whatever. And that resonated with the world because it was real, it was raw, it was authentic. And we can all do that. You don't have to be on the cover of a magazine. You don't have to be, name, fame, and fortune that the world might think. Some of the greatest teachers and leaders in history, they weren't that famous in their time, only later, Jesus was a failed minister at 30-something, it was died in disgrace, or so they thought, Dr. King, shot and assassinated, Gandhi, like all these people. They obviously were famous in their day, but it doesn't have to be like anybody else. If you just be like yourself, your life will be rich and meaningful and fulfilling. I can guarantee it. And especially now in this day and age with AI commoditizing the world, it's going to be the only choice if you really want to be fulfilled and maybe even have a job in the future in the next few years.
Once again, listen to Refocused Radio and watching this online. Talking to our guest today, Derek Rydall. You can go to his website, DerekRydall.com, and that's RYDALL.com for spelling. It'll also be in show notes. Before we wrap up officially, because time is being crazy short on us, when you think about what we been listening to what you've been saying, I want to say adversity. I heard it said many times, the obstacle is the way. A lot of times we think shortcuts is a quick fix scheme. It's, the answer to our prayers, quote unquote. But anything, like they say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. But to your point, that adversity, that time of conflict, that period, that season where things are chaotic and makes no sense. It's like, man, every time I take a step forward, I'll get pushed 10 steps back. Yes. Well, life keep testing you for a reason. And I'm not disclaimer, I can't say anything about your future, but I will say this, personally speaking, when you stick with the process is when you keep doubling down. I had someone who talked about delete it, delegate, and double down. Like, set your priorities. Yes. A part of our stunts, our plateaus, and our growth is the reflection we see in the mirror. It's like, it's not them, it's not this person not giving me opportunity, it's not this person won't support me. Sometimes it's the hard truth of our reflection and say, where are you?
Yes. 100%, man. Yeah, we have to constantly die to our former self. We have to constantly let go of our previous opinions, concepts, beliefs, stories, if we are going to keep growing and becoming more and more of who we really are. That's part of the process, like a snake shedding its skin. It also tends to be one of the hardest things for humans, real change, because to the ego, real change is considered dangerous or even death, because the ego is just a program, a map of reality that you formed early on for survival, and it helped you and it served you. But then you kept using a map of your old town, and they've completely rebuilt it, and it's not the same town, and you maybe don't even live in that town anymore, and you're wondering why you're always running into walls and getting lost. You got the wrong map. Yeah. And so you have to be willing to let go of those maps, let go of those identities, let go of those stories, because ultimately you do not experience reality. You experience your story about reality. You experience your identity of yourself, not what's true about you, but what you believe about you. And so when the challenge comes, like you said, I say what's in the way is the way. It's similar to The Obstacle's the Way. That's a great book by Ryan. What's Ryan's last name? I forget his name, but he's a Stoic teacher. Great book. But when then, as a result, if you are sincerely desiring, praying, visualizing, visioning, intending to grow and have a great life, you're setting loose some energy in you. And if you're not in integrity with the higher you or the next level of you, what's going to get you there? Something's going to have to show up to shake you up. That's the obstacle. That's the forest fire that the jack pine needs to crack open its seeds. That's the shell that the chicken needs, because when it runs out of food and everything, and it's cramped and it's hungry and it's smelly, it starts pecking, looking for every little bit of food in that trapped little place, and that builds its lungs and its wings. And as a result, when it finally cracks open the shell, it is strong enough to survive in a bigger world. So when you feel like you're starving, you're hungry, it's not enough, you're sick, whatever, and you start focusing on, but what's true about me? What's possible? What can I do? What do I have as resources? Not what can't I and what don't I? You start pecking and cracking the shell, but that builds something in you. It builds character. It builds resilience. It builds grit. It builds the inner infrastructure, the mental structures, in order to survive and thrive in a bigger world. And you're cracking yourself out of it by not blaming or complaining, but by going, okay, I'm in the desert. Let's dig a deeper well. Let's find the good, the nourishment, the gold, the lesson, the blessing, the opportunity. What am I being called to become? What is seeking to emerge in me? If I had that life, who would I be? How would I show up? Let me show up today. Let me just be a little more kind to myself and others, a little more generous, a little more creative, even if, and especially, I don't feel like it. That's what cracks you open and releases the next stage of your own potential. And eventually, when you go through it a few times, you're like, okay, that's what's happening. I get it. And you don't freak out quite as much when the next opportunity to grow shows up.
Last thing I'll say, because we literally have seconds left, is give yourself grace.
Yes.
Just like you should give other people grace, like in the Bible. And don't send me no angry emails. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not no pastor. But so in the Bible, it talks about, the measure you have on someone is the same measure that's going to come back to you, So giving yourself grace in the storm.
Judge not, lest you be judged.
Yeah, give yourself grace in the storm and give other people grace. But also, don't forget this part. Changing, shifting your behavior to what you're striving to become. That is also important, that equation, because a lot of times you're going to be trying to be positive and all that stuff, but you're not improving. That's not good. You have to, at some point, like I had a recent guest had on last week who said, you got to get tired of being tired of your stuff.
Yes.
And that's your motivation to peck through and have that breakthrough that you desperately need and deserve, because it's time, right? It's time to make it happen versus regret will catch up with you.
Yes, we were built for resilience, not for regret.
Boom. We have to leave it there, man. On radio, you know, it is got to end that right there, but we need to have you back on. So, first and foremost, had a great time talking to our guest today, Derek Rydall. Like always, want to say thank you for your time and hit us up because we got to get you back on.
You got it.